Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnu Pad Brahmahamsa Prabhupada Astotara Sata C.C. Mothers of Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Anantakoti Vaishnavindi ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Friendship Guru Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. C.C. Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Chamakanda Radhakanda Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Mathura Dham ki. Mayapur Dham ki. Jagannath-puri Dham ki. Gandhamaya ki. Jamuna ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulasi Maharani ki. Samved Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the Son of God. All glories to the Son of God. All glories to the Son of God. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. The lotus seat of our spiritual master, the only way to continue pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet, carried on my hearts. By his grace, one across the ocean, my choice, and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is that my conscience is purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord who affects the birds. From unexpected commandments, lying ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord master of the devotees, and master of the mercy. Civilization is his feet. Your fame is spreading all the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
I'm not so much. Yeah, it's something. It's okay. Okay, I'll bring you a chair. I think I'm going to use cushion today. Try to use a cushion.
Okay.
Thank you. Some days I get much better than others, like to sit on the floor. Okay. I know, it's okay. Mine too. Actually, I sugar.
Would you like it? I don't know. Oh,
You'll be back to
thank
it.
you. Yeah, of course. We are being pampered.
She's a mother.
No. Well, we all are.
For my kids.
Yeah, we all are mothers. Yeah. That's a fact. I can't stop being a mother.
It's good.
Are we being recorded?
I don't know.
I hope not.
Oh yeah. What's that?
We are being recorded.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think she put it down yet. I hope it's not. No, I don't think it's on yet. I moved it anyway. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's just what we were saying. What we were saying.
I don't know. We can't say anything about it.
I'm going to do a verse from the first canto.
Okay.
Um,
We're not writing it down today.
no.
No. Because it was supposed to be the first one. Because he's going to talk about it. It's going to be.
Yeah.
It's Lila Shakti.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja
Yashodanandana Vaja Janarandana Yashodanandana Vaja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parvajokachara Asta Teresa to CC Madhus AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parvajokachara Asta Teresa to CC Madhus Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Nilacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Panchika Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Chamakanda Radhakanda Giri Gopinam Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Rangamaya Ki Jamuna Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Maharani Ki Samaved Bhaktivinoda Ki All glories to this All glories to this All glories to this All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm reading a verse from the first canto 3, text 22. That Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Nara Devatam Apana Surakarya Chikirshaya Samudra Nigraha Deni Chakre Viryan Yata Param. As Canto 1, Chapter 3, text 22.
1:322.
Translation. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. Please repeat. In the 18th incarnation,
In the 18th incarnation,
the Lord appeared as King Ram
the Lord appeared as King Ram
in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods.
in order to perform some pleasing works for the demigods.
He exhibited superhuman powers
He exhibited superhuman powers
by controlling the Indian Ocean
by controlling the Indian Ocean
and then killing the atheist King Ravana,
and then killing the atheist King Ravana,
who was on the other side of the sea.
who was on the other side of the sea.
Purport. The personality of Godhead Sri Ram assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods, or the administrative personalities, to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities, with a spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the code of the Lord. But being puffed up by tiny success in material advancement, sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra, heaven, by material means, without consideration of the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet, so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Ram, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife, Sita. Of course, Lord Ram came to chastise this atheist, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravana, and the complete activity is the subject matter of the Ramayana. Because Lord Ramachandra was the personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravana, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord, by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air. He made the stones, even within this earth, to be weightless, and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. Om Ganatandaswaranandana Shivaka Chakshurutamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sham Sri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Ragalatam Nitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vipamascha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Vigapate Gopesha Gopaka Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Rama Navami Hari Priya Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vajam Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Bhajani Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Tastadadishtana. So one day, the great sage Narada, he came to Valmiki's ashram. Valmiki was conversing with his disciples, and when he saw Narada Muni arriving, he immediately stood up to show respect. And after offering his obeisances to Narada Muni and seating him very comfortably, the rishis washed Narada's feet and offered him suitable presentations. So Valmiki Muni, he inquired from Narada Muni. He asked him, who is there who is now present on the earth, who is the foremost of all great personalities? Who is the most learned and the most powerful? Who possesses the most attractive bodily features? Who is noble-minded, truthful, grateful, and most clever? Who possesses flawless character and always looks after the welfare of all living beings? Who is never subject to the influence of anger or malice, and yet instills fear in the hearts of even the demigods? Who has the strength to give protection to everyone within the three worlds? Unto who has the goddess of fortune Lakshmi bestowed all her blessings? Who is the reservoir of all opulence in full? So, that's the question Valmiki Muni asked Narada Muni. So Narada Muni replied that there is a king who appeared in the Ikshvaku dynasty. He is the son of Maharaj Dasarath. He is the embodiment of all good qualities, the reservoir of all opulence, and he is the master of unlimited potencies. He is fully conversant with the use of weapons. He possesses absolute knowledge of the Vedas. He is the ideal follower of religious principles. He is the upholder of the Varnashram social system. Lord Rama is simultaneously the destroyer of all enemies and the only shelter for fully surrendered souls. He possesses unflinching determination, and he is a genius with unfailing memory. He is wise, compassionate, and brave like the ocean. Lord Ram is heroic in battle, loved by all creatures, and impartial towards both friends and enemies. So Narada Muni describes a whole list of qualities of Lord Ramachandra. So he is the greatest person on the earth, the king of Ayodhya. So then, when Narada left the ashram of Valmiki Muni and his disciple Bharadwaj, they went to the river Tamasa, and they were sitting there discussing what Narada Muni had spoken. And while they were discussing that, there were two birds. They're called Krancha birds. Apparently they're like cranes. And they were singing melodiously. And Valmiki Muni, he was very attracted to these birds. But then a hunter appeared with a bow and arrows, and he killed the male bird, and then the female bird was all completely crying out piteously, very distressed. And Valmiki Muni, he became so angry that he cursed the hunter that he will never have any peace ever. So he says, "O killer of birds, may you never find peace of mind for endless years to follow. Let this be the punishment for your heartless killing of an innocent creature who was engaged in gratifying his mate." But then as soon as he uttered a curse, Valmiki Muni, he felt ashamed. Because as an enlightened soul, he knew well that all living beings are acting helplessly under the influence of the three modes of material nature. So Valmiki, he regretted that he retaliated against the hunter. And yet he was astonished to realize that the curse that had come out of his mouth in perfect poetic meter. So he was ashamed that he cursed the hunter, but then he was amazed at how poetic the curse was. The curse, it seemed to hint at the predominant emotional theme portrayed in the life story of Lord Ram, which Valmiki had been contemplating ever since his meeting with Narada. Valmiki remarked to Bharadwaj, "From my sorrow has come a verse of 4 lines, each containing 8 syllables. From shoka, remorse, has come a very nice shloka, verse. For without compassion, there can be no genuine poetic expression." So then Valmiki, he took bath in the Tamasa river and returned to his ashram. And he was sitting there contemplating and regretting that he had cursed hunter. And then Lord Brahma appeared to him. And he told him that he shouldn't be regretful of his curse. Lord Brahma told him that the curse that he had uttered, that verse, that sloka which he had uttered, was inspired by Lord Brahma himself. Lord Brahma had inspired him to utter this curse. So he told Valmiki to give up his anxiety, and then he benedicted him that he would be able to compose the Ramayana. So he told Valmiki to compose the Ramayana, the life story of Lord Ram. So Valmiki, he went into a trance, and in that trance he could see all the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. This is a position that great sages can attain. They can just meditate and just look at the spiritual world and see what's going on. And we can see that from Rupa Goswami, for example, and also from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When Rupa Goswami, he wrote 2 plays, Vidagda Madhava, and what was the other one?
Lalita.
Yeah, Lalita Madhava. Vidagda Madhava and Lalita Madhava. And he was instructed to write those plays by Satyabhama. And but he could go into meditation and actually see what's going on in the spiritual world. That's how those plays are written, because he was actually looking at Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world in his meditation while he was chanting his rounds. When will that day be mine, huh? So, and so the same with Valmiki Muni. He was able to just sit in a trance and just see all Lord Ram's pastimes. So he composed the Ramayana, which is 24,000 verses. So here's a question: how many verses in the Bhagavatam?
18,000.
Yeah, 18,000. So the Ramayana is 24,000 verses. That's 33% more than the Bhagavatam. So when he composed the Ramayana, he was thinking, who could he speak the Ramayana to? Who would be qualified? Who would be able to remember it and repeat it nicely? So just when he was thinking like this, Love and Kush, they came before him. They're the sons of Sita Devi and Lord Ramachandra. They were staying with him in his ashram. And so he could understand that these were qualified personalities to hear the Ramayana. So he spoke the Ramayana to them. And then they spoke it to an assembly of Brahmins. And all these Brahmins were completely absorbed in hearing about the Ramayana. And then Love and Kush, they started traveling to all different places and reciting the Ramayana. And eventually they came to Ayodhya. And they were speaking the Ramayana. People were listening to them with great enthusiasm. And then Lord Ramachandra, he heard about that they were there. And he went down and he brought them to his palace. And he didn't know who they were. course, obviously he did know who he's Supreme Lord. He's in everyone's heart. He knows everything. But for pastime, there is Yoga Maya. And Krishna, he creates a situation where he doesn't know certain things. So he didn't know who they were. And then they started speaking Ramayana. So in the kingdom of Ayodhya, the ruler of Ayodhya was King Dasarath. And even though he was completely qualified, it's explained he was an Atirat warrior, that he could fight with thousands and thousands of soldiers. So, and the kingdom was also very opulent. There was no suffering. People were very happy, and there was no shortage of food or anything. Everything was very opulent, very nice. But still, he wasn't happy. And the reason why he wasn't happy is because he didn't have a son to rule the kingdom after his departure. So he called some learned Brahmins. He decided that he was going to perform an Ashvamedha Yajna. And so he consulted with Brahmins, and the Brahmins agreed to his proposal. So then Sumantra, he was the chief minister of Maharaj Dasarath, and also his chariot driver. He took Maharaj Dasarath aside, and he said, he told him a story. He said about a king, Ramapad, who Dasarath Maharaj knew. He was a friend of Dasarath Maharaj. And he said, due to some offense in the kingdom of King Ramapad, there was a terrible drought in his kingdom. And it was causing great fear among all living beings. And when the condition became intolerable, Maharaj Ramapad, he summoned his council of learned Brahmins and inquired, I know that it's because of my own fault that this drought has afflicted my kingdom. O best of the twice-born, since your knowledge is boundless, kindly prescribe the proper atonement so that I can become freed from the reaction to my past sins, whatever they may be. So, the Brahmins replied that there was a great sage, his name was Vibhandaka. Vibhandaka is the son of Kashyapa Muni, and residing in the forest. And Vibhandaka's son is Rishasringa. So they said, if you can bring this boy to your kingdom and give him your daughter Shanta in marriage, the drought will immediately end. And Shanta, she was the daughter of Maharaj Dasarath, actually. He had a daughter. And he gave this daughter to King Ramapad to take care of her and bring her up. Because King Ramapad didn't have a child. So the Brahmins, they told King Rama that if he brought Rishishringa to his kingdom, then the drought would end. So he asked his priest to summon Rishishringa to the kingdom. And when he asked them, they refused. They were afraid that Vibhandaka would actually curse them if they brought his son to the kingdom. Because Vibhandaka, he brought his son Rishishringa up in the forest, and his son had never seen another human being apart from his father, because he wanted to protect him from all the bad association. So he was brought up in complete isolation. But then the Brahmins, they said, we all desire your welfare, so we've devised a way to bring Rishishringa to your kingdom. They said, because Rishishringa has never seen a member of the opposite sex, he's completely unaware of the pleasure of their association. Let the most beautiful courtesans go and allure him with their feminine ways. We are convinced that this is the method whereby your purpose will easily be accomplished. So Maharaj Ramapad accepted this proposal and sent the foremost of young and beautiful courtesans, or young girls. After being instructed by the king and being promised sufficient reward, the girls departed to the forest, determined to bring back the young sage at all costs. Thereafter, the girls made their camp near Vibhandaka's ashram and began waiting for a suitable opportunity. Then one day, as Rishishringa was wandering in the forest, he happened to come to the courtesan's camp, the camp of the young girls. The girls jubilantly got up to greet Rishishringa. When they inquired about his identity, the boy replied, I am the son of Vibhandaka, and I am engaged in performing austerities at my father's ashram nearby. All of you are so beautiful, I would like you to come to my home and accept my worship and hospitality. So he didn't understand that they were young girls. He thought they were sages, young sages, and he thought they were very beautiful young sages. So the girls, they went with Rishishringa to his ashram. Then he gave them offerings of argya, water for washing their feet, and various kinds of fruit and roots. However, the girls were very fearful that his father might return at any moment, and so they did not want to stay very long. Before departing, the girl said, my dear friend, our way of receiving guests is quite different from yours. Now please accept our offerings of honor and respect in return. Saying this, the girls embraced Rishishringa very tightly and with great affection, and then fed him some delicious sweets. Never before had the innocent sage's son tasted anything so pleasing. For he was accustomed to eating the fruit and roots available in the forest. Actually, he thought that the sweets must have been some kind of wonderful fruit that he had never seen or tasted before. And because he had previously only seen his father, he considered the courtesans to be enchantingly beautiful men. After the girls left, Rishishringa began to feel restless at heart because the seed of lusty desire which had remained dormant there for so long had now sprouted. Rishishringa could not drag his mind away from thinking about the beautiful girl, for his heart had become captivated by their tender words and warm embraces. That night he could hardly sleep, and the next morning, when his father was engaged elsewhere, he went to where the courtesans were staying. The girls were delighted to see Rishyasringa. They said, "My dear boy, this is not our real home. Please come with us aboard our magnificent floating hermitage. We'll take you to a place where we can entertain you in a much better fashion." So they were on a boat that had been specially constructed. So being completely enamored and attracted, Rishyasringa, he unhesitatingly accompanied them. So in that way the girls were able to bring him to Ramapad's capital within the kingdom of Anga. And even when Rishyasringa was on the boat being carried down the Ganga, Indra sent showers of rain, giving great joy to all creatures. He hadn't even arrived in the kingdom of Ramapad yet, and there were showers of rain coming. So when he came to know of Rishyasringa's arrival, King Ramapad came out of his palace to greet him, and he worshipped the young sage, and he presented Shanta to Rishyasringa. So he could understand that the sage was very satisfied. From King Ramapad, he could understand that Rishyasringa was very satisfied. So he asked him for a benediction. That the king admitted that he'd attracted Rishyasringa to his kingdom in a very duplicitous manner. And he asked Rishyasringa to give him a benediction that his father, Rishyasringa's father, Vibhandaka, would not curse them for the way that they brought him to the kingdom. And Rishyasringa, he gave that assurance to the king. So then, Maharaj, this is the story that Maharaj Dasharat had heard from Sumantra. So Maharaj Dasharat then, without wasting any time, he went to the kingdom of Anga, Ramapad's kingdom, along with his retinue. And King Ramapad received his friend very warmly, and at that time he informed Rishyasringa that Maharaj Dasharat was his actual father-in-law, because Rishyasringa's wife Shanta was the daughter of Dasharat. So after enjoying King Ramapad's hospitality for about a week, Maharaj Dasharat explained to his friend, "For a very long time I've been morose because of not receiving a son to perpetuate my illustrious dynasty. Now I request you to allow Rishyasringa to accompany me to Ayodhya so that he can perform the Ashvamedha Yajna on my behalf." So then Rishyasringa, he went to Ayodhya with Maharaj Dasharat, and he performed the Ashvamedha Yajna. And when he performed the Ashvamedha Yajna, because there's a sacrificial animal there, the horse, and of course it's understood that when the priests are qualified to do the Ashvamedha Yajna, the horse, the living entity is the horse, he becomes benefited and gets elevated. At the conclusion of the sacrifice, Maharaj Dasharat gave away the entire earth to the 4 chief priests, but the Brahmins returned the gift, saying, "O king, because we are devoted to the study of the Vedas, the performance of austerities, we have no interest in ruling a kingdom. Please give us gifts that are useful to us, such as cows or gold. And then Rishishringa, he approached Maharaj Dasarath and he said, my dear king, you will receive 4 glorious sons, but I propose that a separate sacrifice known as Putreshti Yagya be performed for that purpose. So he performed a second sacrifice. When in the meantime, the leaders of the demigods, they approached Lord Brahma and said, "O Lord, because of your benediction, Ravana has become so powerful that he is harassing everyone at will. Even we cannot subdue the wicked Rakshasa, so we beg you to devise some means for his destruction." So Lord Brahma, he stopped to think for a moment, and he said, at the time of giving benedictions to Ravana, Ravana did not bother to ask for immunity from death at the hands of a human being. So Ravana, he asked for all these different protections, but he didn't ask to be protected from human beings. While Brahma was considering the matter carefully, Lord Vishnu suddenly appeared there, riding upon his carrier, Garuda, with the effulgence of many suns. The Lord appeared in his 4-hour form, dressed in bright saffron-coloured garments, and carrying in his hands a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. The demigods worshipped Lord Vishnu with great reverence, and then said, "O Master of the universe, please come to our rescue. By dividing yourself into 4, become the sons of Maharaj Dasarath, and then arrange for the destruction of Ravana." Lord Vishnu replied, "Rest assured that you no longer have need to fear. I will incarnate as the sons of Maharaj Dasarath and rule the earth for 11,000 years after vanquishing your enemy, the king of the Rakshasas." After saying this, Lord Vishnu mysteriously vanished from view, much to the astonishment of the demigods. Meanwhile, from the sacrificial fire of Maharaj Dasarath appeared an exceptional being of dark complexion, possessing all auspicious bodily features. This person appeared to be unlimitedly powerful. He was decorated with transcendental ornaments, and in his hands he carried a large golden pot containing a sweet made from rice and milk. That divine personality announced to Maharaj Dasarath, "I am a messenger of Lord Vishnu." With hands joined in supplication, Maharaj Dasarath said, "O Vishnu Duta, please order me. What service can I render?" The servant of Lord Vishnu said, "This pot of sweet rice is the reward for your 2 sacrificial performances. Give portions to your 3 wives. Through them you will be able to beget 4 sons who will forever perpetuate your fame." So then the pot of rice was divided between the 3 queens of Maharaj Dasarath, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi. And so meanwhile, while this was going on, Lord Brahma, he gave orders to the demigods. He said, "Lord Vishnu will soon appear in human society, so all of you should beget partial manifestations of yourselves to assist him. I want you to create a race of divine monkeys by uniting with Apsaras, female monkeys, yakshas, nagas, vidyadharas, and kinnaras. So there's different races of like that. Some races of monkeys, like some races like Kimpurushas, for example. They look like human beings, but they could be monkeys. That's why the name Kimpurusha, Kim means what, and Purusha means human. And it's like you look at them and you say, what? Is that a human? It's like Kimpurusha. What is that? So that's why they're called Kimpurushas. So these monkeys in the army of Lord Ramachandra, they weren't great, they weren't ordinary monkeys. Like for instance, Hanuman, his father was Vayu. Vayu was the father of Hanuman. And the father of Surya, the father of Sugriva is Surya, the sun god. He's the father of Sugriva. And what kind of a monkey is that? His father is Surya. And then Brihaspati begot Tara, Kuvera begot Gandhamadana, Vishvakarma begot Nala, and Agni begot Nila. The Ashvini Kumaras begot Minda and Dravida. So Minda and Dravida were there at that time, but they actually became degraded later on due to bad association and became demons. Varuna begot Shushena. So besides these principal monkeys, many thousands were born to assist Lord Vishnu in his mission. All of them are gigantic, like mountains, and they were exceedingly eager to fight with Ravana. Like the demigods who begot them, these monkeys were born just after conception, and they were so powerful that they could agitate the ocean with their impetuous energy. So there were three classes of beings created by the demigods. Formerly Jambavan, the king of the bears, had emanated from Brahma's mouth as he was yawning. These bears were one class of beings, and the other two were monkeys, one of which had long tails like those of cows. There were more than 10 million of these bears and monkeys, and so the earth became overrun with them as they wandered through the forest eating wild fruit and various kinds of roots. So meanwhile, after the completion of the Putrasti Yajna, the demigods who had personally come to accept the offerings, the assisting priests, Rishishinga and Shanta, as well as all the invited guests, returned to their respective residences. So then, after a pregnancy of 12 months, on the 9th day of the waxing fortnight in the month of Chaitra, Queen Kaushalya gave birth to a son. Having reddish eyes and lips, long arms, and a body possessing all auspicious markings, the son of Queen Kaushalya represented one half the potency of Lord Vishnu. Soon thereafter, a son representing 1/4 the potency of Lord Vishnu was born to Queen Kaikeyi. And what was his name?
Bharat.
Bharat, yes. Then 2 days after the birth of Queen Kaushalya's son, Queen Sumitra gave birth to twins. So what was the name of those twins?
Lakshman and Shatrugna.
Yeah, Lakshman and Shatrugna. They were the sons of Queen Sumitra. So Kaushalya was the mother of Lord Ram, Kaikeyi was the mother of Bharat, and Sumitra was the mother of Lakshman and Shatrugna. At the birth of the 4 sons of Dasarath, the demigod showered flowers from heaven, and the sound of celestial music could be heard from the sky. In Ayodhya there was a great festival as all the citizens crowded the streets to take part in the merrymaking, along with the musicians, dancers and actors who provided entertainment. 13 days after the birth of Queen Kaushalya's son, Vasishtha Muni, the family priest, performed a name-giving ceremony. The great fortunate sage named the son of Kaushalya Lord Ram, the son of Queen Kaikeyi Bharat, and the twin sons of Queen Sumitra, Lakshman and Shatrugna. So then later on, when Lord Ram was 16 years old, King Dasharatha had a visit from Vishwamitra Muni, and he asked Vishwamitra Muni, was he being successful in his endeavors to overcome birth and death? Srila Prabhupada would mention that quite often in his lectures. And so, but then he said, King Maharaj Dasharatha, he said, what can I give you? What service can I render you? What can I give you? And then Vishwamitra Muni said, you can give me your son, Ramachandra. And King Dasharatha was completely overwhelmed. And he couldn't imagine being without the association of Lord Ramachandra. And Vishwamitra Muni, he explained that I'm performing a sacrifice, and there are 2 Rakshasa associates of Ravana who are disturbing this sacrifice. Their names are Maricha and Subahu. And I want to bring Ram and Lakshman with me to kill these demons. So, under the advice of Vasishtha Muni, Dasarath Maharaj agreed to give his sons to Vishwamitra Muni. So then they travelled and eventually came to Vishwamitra Muni's ashram, and they performed the sacrifice. And then before they performed the sacrifice, they were they just waited for these demons so that they could actually kill the demons when they came. So after 6 days, the demons came, and they polluted the whole sacrificial arena. And Lord Ramachandra, he took up his bow and shot 1 arrow, and Maricha was thrown a great distance into the sea. He didn't want to kill Maricha immediately at that time. But then with another arrow, he actually kills Subahu, the other demon. So then the sacrifice was performed, and the sacrifice was successful. And then after that, Vishwamitra Muni and Rama Lakshman, they went to the kingdom of Maharaj Janaka, which was called? What's the name of the?
Mithila.
Mithila. Yeah. Mithila, the kingdom of Maharaj Janaka. And so Maharaj Janaka, he had a daughter, and actually the way his daughter appeared was that he was ploughing sacrificial land, and then in one of the furrows where he was ploughing, he found Sita. When Sita became eligible for marriage, there were many Kshatriyas who came, and all kinds of personalities who came, who wanted Sita as their wife. But then King Dashrath, he said that if they want Sita as their wife, they have to be able to string this bow. There was a bow of Lord Shiva there in the kingdom. There was a very powerful bow, and none of them could even lift the bow, not to speak of string it. So then when Lord Ramachandra came, he actually lifted the bow and strung it and actually broke the bow. So then he was successful in winning Sita. And then another daughter of King Janaka was married to Lakshman. The daughters of Janaka's youngest brother, they were married to Bharat and Shatrughna. Well, time is running out. It's basically run out, and they're just some kind of parts of the story of Ramayana. There are great personalities who became very absorbed in that pastime. There's one king, Maharaj Kulashekara, who was he was king in Ayodhya, as far as I know, he was in South India, and he would have his Brahmins recite the Ramayana, and he would become so absorbed in the Ramayana that he would become really angry when he would hear about Ravana kidnapping Sita. And he becomes so angry that he would summon his whole army, and he would go to the shore of the ocean, and he wanted to cross the ocean and kill Ravana. This is like a whole meditation where you actually do get the whole army together and go there. So then eventually you kind of come out of the trance and and go back to his kingdom afterwards. So that's an example of someone who became so really. There's another example of a Brahmin that Lord Chaitanya met in his travels. And Lord Chaitanya, he was staying with one Brahmin, and the Brahmin wasn't cooking. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, why are you not cooking? And he said, oh, I can't cook because Ravana has kidnapped Sita and I'm just too distressed. I can't eat, I can't cook. And he was completely, and Lord Chaitanya very much appreciated his meditation. But then later on, Lord Chaitanya was traveling and he came across the Kurma Purana. The Kurma Purana, where it's explained that Ravana did not actually kidnap the real Sita. He kidnapped a Maya Sita. So, because someone who is contaminated or a demon, they cannot put their hands on Sita. There's the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, the Vladini potency. And so it was Maya Sita. So the Lord Chaitanya, he came back and he told the Brahmin that, and the Brahmin was very happy. Hey, Lord Ramchandra's appearance day.
Jai.
So I'm supposed to be fasting till sunset, although I read yesterday from, what's it, Tulasi Priya, she says fasting till noon.
That she changed.
She changed it to sunset. Yeah. So, well, it's a good opportunity. God bless.
You didn't ask if there was any questions.
Okay, if there are any questions?
You know, at the beginning when you were talking about Rishashinga, you were saying the seeds of lust, you know, that were there, you know, like came out at the contact of, you know, like ladies. So, you know, even if somebody is brought up, you know, because we're talking about bringing up children in a Krishna conscious way in gurukuls and kind of like, you know, as brahmacharis. I mean, but it's not sufficient, isn't it? It's not sufficient because, I mean, I don't know Rishashinga exactly how he was brought up and how this, but he was kind of cut off, you know, material contact and things, but maybe he was not kind of given Krishna consciousness, and that's why the seed of lust
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of.
Well, we heard the example of Vishwamitra Muni, who was meditating for 60,000 years. And then he heard the ankle bells of, was it Menaka? Menaka. Because Lord Indra, he becomes envious when somebody is becoming very powerful and he thinks that they're going to take over his kingdom and take over his position. So he sends these sort of apsaras or heavenly society girls to tempt these sages. So Vishwamitra Muni, he heard her ankle bells. He just heard her ankle bells, and he became agitated. And they had a daughter. Was that Shakuntala? Was it? Was it Shakuntala? Was the daughter? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I find it's a little different situation. I mean, you know, because Vishwamitra Muni was in contact with, before he meditated, he was in contact also with,
Okay.
you know, so he knew about, you know,
Yeah.
relationships and things.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, like, I mean, you can say, for example, I think Prabhupada gives an example that just because a child doesn't experience the sex impulse, it doesn't mean that there's no sex desire there in his heart. Right? Because when he comes to the point of maturity, as soon as the situation is like favorable for that, then he becomes sexually inclined, just like that, because the desire is in the heart, and it's not. This is not the first. It's also coming from previous lifetimes.
Yeah, I said that because I just wanted to kind of make that point that, you know, sometimes I know, you know, when I was kind of younger, I was kind of thinking, you protecting your children, you know, means also to kind of, you know, make sure that they don't have association with other children or other people that would kind of contaminate them, you know, and you know, but it's kind of like, it's not like that, you know, and it's very difficult even in a Gurukul situation, You know, even, you know, like I think in Vrindavan, for example, it's extremely difficult for a child to kind of, you know, not to kind of, even if they are brought up as brahmacharis, not to have, you know, this happening to them, because it's there, as you say, in their hearts.
Yeah.
So I like it kind of demands a lot of cultivation of Krishna consciousness and actually falling in love with Krishna,
Yeah.
isn't it? But it's a problem with parents in general. They don't understand always this, you know, and they might think that you can protect your children in a different, you know, like, but you know, like bring them to the temple and things. But you might sometimes think it's sufficient, you know, something that's kind of quite, you know, quite a light bringing up, you know, in Krishna consciousness, but you really have to get them, to help them to become attached to Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And we have to become attached to Krishna too.
Mm. Yeah, of
Not
course.
that we're not attached to Krishna and we're trying to get them attached to Krishna.
I find it also significant that Lord Indra becomes envious when someone else is more powerful, because that is also a propensity that is there in everybody maybe. And that is not being addressed so much in ISKCON. It's more the focus is always on the sex desire, but the desire for having power is, I think, in that relation really neglected. There should be more focus also on, we must make sure that somebody doesn't want to have power over others.
Yeah, well, we have to make sure that we don't want power over ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
of
the
course.
first thing.
Of course.
That's the most powerful way to deal with that, is that we actually become an example of becoming free from the desire for name and fame ourselves.
Yeah.
Because you can't politically orchestrate that people are not acting for name and fame. You know what I mean? There's no rules that you can put in place to make sure that people are not acting out of motivations for name and fame. Isn't it? You can't do it. You can't stop a person from having a desire for name and fame. The only thing you can do is make sure that we don't have a desire for name and fame ourselves.
Yeah, Tulasi, but isn't that the same as the sex desire? It is the
Yes,
same
it is.
mechanism.
It's a subtle sex desire. It is the same, yeah.
Because it can be hidden.
Yes, it's more subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody could be free from, you know, gross sex desire, but then there can be subtle. That's subtle. Like one might be thinking, now I'm becoming very advanced, spiritually advanced. And one may actually be spiritually advanced. And he might have disciples and followers. But so there's always obstacles. We always have to be focused on the ultimate goal. You know, and that's to love Krishna. And in order to love Krishna, we have to be free from all material desires. Prabhupada says that even if you're attached to the rising and setting of the sun, you have to take another body. So, you know, if that's the only attachment that a person has to the rising and setting of the sun, and he has to take another body, you know, just imagine how pure we have to be. You know, that there's nothing else but Krishna, and we have no desire for anything else. No personal desire. But I mean, I think that's something that we have to kind of, you know, be clear about, because a lot of devotees, they get into a whole kind of political thing, you know, because people are acting out of name and fame, you know, but you can't actually you can't stop a person acting out of name and fame, because you know, we don't have the power to take their desire for name and fame away from them. It's only if they take shelter of Krishna themselves that they can become free from that desire. And the most powerful way that we can influence that situation is that if we're free from that desire ourselves.
Tulasi, another thing, but you see, to become completely free from desires is very difficult. It would be more like, I mean, our practice really allows us to experience the prominent desire would be for Krishna, and then the other desires subside.
Yeah.
They fall into the background.
That's right, yeah.
And if that desire to serve Krishna is the greatest desire, wouldn't that be the best result we could hope to get?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
certainly. We never become free from desire. There's always desire there, but it's what we're desiring.
Yeah.
So if we desire Krishna, then all the other desires become insignificant. If we become completely attracted to Krishna, then we won't be attracted to anything which is not Krishna. So to the degree, there's always degree as well. To the degree that we're attracted to Krishna, to that degree we will not be attracted to other things. But like when the pure devotee becomes so attracted to Krishna that he sees the attractions of the material world to be completely insignificant. You know, like even the attractions of heaven, right? He sees it, it's explained, he sees it like a phantasmagoria. Heaven is just a phantasmagoria, and he has no interest in it. And just imagine the pure devotee, he doesn't care whether he goes to heaven or hell. As long as Krishna is there, as long as he can remember Krishna, he can go to heaven or he can go to hell. Can you imagine that it's all the same for him? Not all the same for me. You know, it's all the same for me if I go to heaven or hell. I mean, hell is pretty, you know, horrific situation. Sometimes you hear about hellish punishments on earth even, and you know, concentration camps, and how people are tortured, you know, unbelievable tortures. But for a pure devotee, it doesn't matter if he's in a situation like that or in heaven. I mean, it's quite mind-boggling, really, isn't it?
But it's the only safe position.
Yeah, it's the only safe position. Yeah, it's like because like if somebody's in a transcendental position, then he's actually not suffering in hell. And he's not enjoying in heaven, and he's not suffering in hell. He is completely transcendental on the platform of the soul. For the soul, there's no hell, and there's no heaven. So, just like Haridas Thakur, he was whipped through 22 marketplaces, and he was in bliss. And Prahlad Maharaj was put in a pot of boiling ghee, and he was in bliss. If I was put in a pot of boiling ghee, I would not be in bliss. At least not at this stage anyway, maybe someday.
Even something less dramatic, like
Yeah, a lot less dramatic.
you know,
So
even something less dramatic, like for example, there's the example of Rupa Goswami, who is it Rupa Goswami who had this. You know, there was a story of that man who came and he said, "You have the most valuable jewel." Yeah, it's a jewel, isn't it? and he couldn't care less about it.
Touchstone,
Yeah, he couldn't care less about that.
yeah, it was in the
yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, so it's kind of less dramatic, but it's kind of also illustrative.
Yeah.
I would wonder what happens if somebody brought that touchstone here.
We'll just put it at the feet of Krishna.
Oh, we do? What did you say?
I said put it at the feet of Radha Govinda.
Yeah.
Somebody might steal it.
Yeah, there might be a big fight over who's going to put it there first. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that, you know, by hearing, when we hear from a pure devotee, we gradually become convinced that there's no happiness in this material world. You know, that even though we may have attachments, we can also know that any kind of material attachment, it doesn't bring any happiness. It's just it's temporary. There's no ultimate shelter there. The only shelter is Krishna. So when we read Prabhupada's books, you know, and we hear from Krishna and we hear from pure devotees, we're hearing this all the time, and we're getting reprogrammed. Because in the material world, we're programmed that, you know, you can be happy in the material world. If you get this and you get that, you'll be happy. You get this, but if we expose ourselves to the Bhagavatam, we're always hearing you can't be happy like this. You can't be happy like this, and eventually we become convinced. I can't be happy like this. You know, we become convinced that this body is like, it's just a machine. There's no happiness there in the body.
Yeah, at the beginning also, you know, like of the reading there, you were mentioning that Ramachandra had the Varnashram Dharma system going. So it's kind of like the Varnashram system is like this, isn't it? Like what you're explaining now, it's like, you know, although people are still, you know, in material consciousness somewhat, but they also know about Krishna or God, you know, and they kind of try to work and give some results to God, isn't it? So it's kind of like the steps.
Yeah, the steps. See, when you have knowledge, it makes all the difference. When you start to know something, it gradually makes us think in a certain way and act in a certain way. You know, and it makes us chant Hare Krishna.
That's the only thing that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's what makes the difference. It makes us want to get shelter somewhere else because we lose our faith. We lose our faith in the material world. People in the material world, they have faith in the material world. They think this is it. This is reality. They think this is a reality. And in Krishna consciousness, by hearing from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we become convinced this is not reality. Although we know the material world is real, but it's temporary. And you can't be happy in this temporary situation. If you take this, although the body is real, if I think I am the body, that's not real. The body is real and I'm real, but if I think I'm the body, that's an illusion. So, to treat the material world as a permanent situation and to try to be secure, to look for security in the material world, and security in relationships and security in things, items in the material world, that's an illusion. So that if we expose ourselves to hearing all the time, that illusion is just constantly getting smashed to bits all the time. And if we want to think that the material world is real, we won't want to hear from the Bhagavad. People don't want to hear from the Bhagavatam. They don't want to hear the Bhagavad Gita because it's telling them that, you know, you're just in an illusion. And they don't believe they're in an illusion. They think we're an illusion.
talking about Valmiki, after he cursed the hunter, immediately regretted it because he understood the hunter was simply acting under the modes of nature. The more we understand the power of the modes of nature, that's what's pulling, those 5 factors of action and the modes of nature are one. Things get less personal, when well, that's a good example of it, it's just, poor guy's just, without a lot of realization, we're just dominated by the modes of nature and karma. We're not actually choosing our course of action, and you see that in all kinds of, should I say, that's what's actually pulling the strings in any political situation. It's people just acting under the modes of nature.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It takes a lot of realization to break out of that, of our domination by the modes of nature.
Yeah.
And Kapila Dev, when he's talking to his mother, he's recommending constant hearing and chanting, and he also uses the word chiram, and you have to do that for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes.
It is, yeah. Yeah, you have, it's not a minimum program. We have to actually go after it.
Yeah.
You have to spend long stretches of time hearing and chanting to really get an experience. If we're just doing a little bit here and there, you get Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if you do a little bit, you'll get a little bit of an experience. If you do more, you get more of an experience. And if you do a lot, you get a lot of experience. So we have to spend the time hearing about Krishna and chanting. We spend that time there, and generally it's never enough. And if we think it's enough, then we're really kind of going to be missing out. Because even if somebody is chanting 64 rounds and he thinks, okay, I chanted 64 rounds, and he ties his bead back in a knot, that's the wrong mentality. It's never enough. That's the mentality. It's never enough, because we have to be just totally absorbed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever. Nobody could say, okay, I've chanted enough. Johnny, how you go? Srila Prabhupada.
We are not the body.
Yeah. You only have, and you have, it's okay.
You do reading now?